Hello, dear viewers. Thank you for joining us. You're watching our weekly program, Talk to OBN, on your favorite media channel, OBN Horn of Africa. In this edition, we'll be discussing about Ethiopia's quest to the maritime access and the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam role in promoting regional and continental integration. To discuss this matter, I am joining by Professor Brooke Hailu, professor of political science, analyst, media consultant, researcher, and former diplomat. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, to begin with, Ethiopia is a landlocked country, and this is not from the genesis.
Yeah.
It is changed through hypocrisy and political sabotage. What's your insight about this notion?
Thank you once again. In regard to Ethiopia's not having access to the sea, that's a new phenomena, of course, a new phenomena of the last 3 decades and a half, almost 34 years. Why I say this is that Ethiopia, as a very ancient country with a whole lot of history and culture and continuity in existence from 3 to even to 5,000 years, has and always has been a maritime nation. Where Ethiopia's involvement in trade and commerce with ancient societies like the Roman Empire, even before that the Greek Empire, our Arab brothers in the area, the Gulf Coast, the south of the Red Sea, Bab el-Mandeb, and then you have the Gulf of Aden with the Yemeni people, the Yemeni culture, with our Somali brothers, the Indian subcontinent, etc., etc. So, as a maritime nation, we had always existed. So, we are not new when it comes to having ships, commercial trade ships, as well as non-commercial kind of ships. That is, military. I mean, so yes, Ethiopia is now landlocked. There are so many countries in the world, 44 countries to be precise. In the African continent, at least 16 countries are landlocked, including Ethiopia. Now we are landlocked, but the point is, once again, my point is, Ethiopia had always been for thousands of years a maritime nation with full access to the sea, having under its control and utilizing ports like Ziela, Adulis, and all kinds of ports all across our region, I would say.
Now Ethiopia is having a quest to the maritime access. Is that a legit quest?
Yes. I would say it's a legitimate question because for the following reason. First and foremost, what has happened in the northern part of Ethiopia. We call it the Bahar Nagash. It means the coastal province, roughly translated into English. That part of Ethiopia used to be under Ethiopian control for centuries. All this changed with the global phenomena of colonialism as a world system, economic, political, ideological system, where based on the Berlin Congress of 1884, this part of Africa was given to literally 3 countries, Italy, France, and England, the United Kingdom. The same thing for West Africa. The same thing for North Africa, like a pie or the whole world was divided into spheres of influences, and the European powers had their own spheres of areas under their control. So, based on this, the Italian government, the country itself at the time, began to have this foothold on what today we call as Assab, for example. That is the Afar or Danakil Sultanate, which is literally tied up, associated with Ethiopia polity as such. And then they moved northbound to today's Massawa, and from Massawa in 1891, the Italian government made a decision, the cabinet as well as the parliament, to carve out this little territory, which is now called Eritrea, to set up a colonial administration. And at the time, the main the head city was Massawa. Because of the temperature is very high, they moved all the way to the highlands, and Asmara became the permanent seat of the Italian colonial administration. So that was the genesis, or that was the how it germinated the whole thing. Ethiopia slowly but gradually losing its outlet to the sea. North of that, in today's Port Sudan and Suakin and other areas in today's Sudan, there also the British were Egypt and then southbound to the Sudan. And also in the Fashoda incident, the French colonialists and the British colonialists, they also met, and they were about to literally have an open war. But they said, okay, let's agree to disagree. Let's assess our situation. Let's give and take territories, swap territories, and they agreed to say that you will have this, we'll have this. You give me this, I'll give you this, and that's it. It was settled. So that also put a pressure on Ethiopia, and on today's Somaliland, and then Somalia proper. Also, the Somaliland part was given to the British. We have a port called Ziela that Ethiopia had used for centuries. Ziela actually is in today's Somaliland, very close to Djibouti, south of Djibouti, very close to the Djibouti port as well. So this is the reality and the political historical development of how things went, how things so resulted in a way. So 1890-91, I would say, is the chapter that really began to isolate and seal the destiny of Ethiopia in a way, losing control of access to the sea since 1890-91. So the Italians were there for 40 years, of course, and in a few years' time, the Battle of Adwa was fought. Ethiopia won, and then the Italians again strengthened their military position. And then in the 45 years' time, what happened was Ethiopia was occupied by Italy, for 5 years. They were defeated. The Ethiopians, paid in blood and sweat, and they were kicked out again. Okay, so that resulted in the coming of the British, but the strengthening of the Eritrean colony as such. So all in all, for 60 years, one could say we have the Italian presence in today's Eritrea. And here again, facts are facts. The word itself, Eritrea, is a Greek word. It means the Red Sea. Before 1890, there is no country called the Red Sea. It's called Bahra Nagash, which was under Ethiopia's control. So if we are talking about Eritrean country, Eritrean society, Eritrean this, there is no historical evidence to show that before 1890, there is a country called Eritrea once again. After that, yes, of course, 100%. Do I make sense?
Sure.
So that is the slow and gradual moving apart of these two, eventually these two countries. But the same people, the same culture. We have common people, common languages, common ethnicity, common tribes, and what have you, which had always lived together. But this colonial intervention, so to speak, had resulted in the colony of Eritrea, which eventually was administered once Italy was defeated under the British trusteeship. After that, the United Nations, of course, Ethiopia put a claim to have Eritrea back, the Eritrean colony back. That was decided by UN resolution, of course, of the time. Referendum was made, and there was a 10-year federation, and the rest is history. At the end of the 10 years, of course, Eritrea was federated to Ethiopia. There are, of course, so many politically complex issues that, if we have time, can be discussed. But for now, if I could jump. Hence, 1991, after a 30 years bitter war, Eritrean Liberation Fronts, which were unhappy with how the referendum was undertaken, the union of Eritrea with the motherland, with Ethiopia. They went to the bush, started the fighting in 1960-61, fought for 30 years, and finally, with the TPLF and the EPLF, Sha'abia, they succeeded to come to Addis. And in Eritrea and Asmara, of course, Eritrea was declared a 2-year transition period, and then a referendum was made in 1993. Before that, Eritrea existed de facto as a sovereign nation. After that, the de jure was admitted into the United Nations with the request of Ethiopia, the Ethiopian government of the period. So that's how Ethiopia lost its maritime access. So now, if we connect it to the current reality, what Ethiopia is asking is really in a very peaceful way is the following, and that is, given our historical reasons, the history, the culture, the politics, of course, states expand, states contract. When we speak about Ethiopia, in the way back, the Aksumite kingdom, and all the way to Yemen, across the Red Sea, was part of
to the extent of Arabian Peninsula.
To that extent, the Arabian Peninsula. Look, of course it has contracted. Ethiopia is not demanding we should go back to Yemen, we should go do this and that. What is now the issue at hand is we need an access to the sea. Why? Because of the United Nations resolutions, historical reasons, legal reasons, and the question is it legitimate, you ask me? Yes, it is legitimate. This is not a small country, going to 130 million people. It's being suffocated. The economy is growing in leaps and bounds. And the anchor of the whole region of the Horn of Africa is Ethiopia. You add up all the population around the area, Sudan, South Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, and Kenya, Ethiopia is populous. The economy, again, in the last 7 years, is coming up in a very speedy way, surpassing even Kenya, for that matter, where the Kenyan had started, once they achieved their independence, a free market economy. They are well versed in freedom of the press, political pluralism, opposition, governments coming and going. This, what I mean? It matters. It matters. Civil discourse, civil societies, and the like. Okay. So finally, what we can say is that Ethiopia now has has caught up or is catching up with even Kenya, which has advanced economy and the like. So what Ethiopia is asking is, we need an outlet. Being dependent on other countries is a risk. We have much, much more at stake. For example, as a landlocked country, we lost our navy. The government of the period did not that much follow up, was not concerned. It said, gave up all that to the newly formed Eritrean nation. We had lots of maritime ships, which by the way, we have built up recently. They are just like nomads going around here and there, of course, coming back again and again to Djibouti. Why Djibouti? 95% and above of our import-export depends on Djibouti. We are totally dependent on Djibouti. If something happens in Djibouti, anything, then that will be the risk that Ethiopia. So I think the question is legitimate. The question is also a down-to-earth question, and the question is what? By give and take, whether in the form of contract, in the form of rent, or a form of swapping of territories, swaps of territories that Ethiopia can give up, or whether the country
through lease agreement,
the country that gives up based on 99 years lease or what have you, they can also buy in very, very prominent Ethiopian corporations and companies like Ethiopian Airlines. This is a very, very, Ethiopia has put the agenda on the table, and its requests can be responded by Eritrea, by Somalia, Somaliland, of course, and even by Kenya. Kenya is a bit far away, as you know, the Lamu port, but still there is a project, Lipset project, and Ethiopia is trying to find a solution. As a big country, the southern part of Ethiopia can use southwest and south, the Somali ports and the Kenyan ports. The north can use Asab and Masawa. The central, west, and the east part of Ethiopia can use, Asab or any other, like Tio or Bailul and other ports that have not been yet developed, based on what? Agreement between two sovereign nations. So let me give it up to you.
Ethiopia is an anchor nation in the Horn and Eastern Africa, even beyond.
True.
It's a political and economic powerhouse in this region.
Yes.
What merit and what advantage will this access to the sea brings to this nation if that succeeds?
First and foremost, several points. If provided, and if Ethiopia has, assuming that Ethiopia would have access to the sea from XYZ country in the Horn area, we'll have full control of our destiny in a way. We could spend our billions and develop the port itself. We can design and construct the ports. The expansion will be under our control, will not be under the mercy of country X or Y. Okay, first. And we can utilize it for our maritime, as well as eventually also develop, since we need to protect our economic and political security interest, we can even have near it or besides it or what have you, our own naval port, because we'll be back in the Red Sea, where we belong, by the way. We are not new to the Red Sea, except the 34 years. It's our home. Come on, it's our home. It's not Chad, as per example, no, without no negative kind of connotation. It's not just Rwanda or Burundi. It's Ethiopia, where we have lived in the Red Sea. We were a maritime power, regional power, willing and dealing military, security, and economy. So we'll develop it in such a way. Another good reason is what we will avoid unnecessary customs and what have you. We'll set our own pace. That's another reason, because a study has been made many times by the United Nations and other research organizations, where they have made a comparison and contrast of the growth, the economic growth of landlocked countries and coastal countries. Landlocked countries with promising economic growth, they lose at least 10 to 15% big time. Due
to lack of the maritime access.
Because of the lack of maritime access. There you go. We'll catch up more. And another reason is we'll not be under the mercy, as I have said, of the country that gives us or provides us with port facilities. Under the mercy meaning...
Professor, apart from this good and service shipment along the ports, what advantage would this bring in maintaining your peace and security in this part of the region?
I'm coming to that, absolutely.
From the
First is the economic
flip side of the coin is...
Absolutely. Yeah. From the economic side, there is economic benefits.
It's obvious, yeah.
Yeah, but still it has to be said, So that's why we spend time on it. If we jump...
From a security side.
Yes, if we jump to the security point of view, I mean...
There are sea pirates.
Yes, you asked me then, yeah. So from the economic security point of view, Ethiopia will once again play a role in maintaining peace and security in the Red Sea region. Against what? Sea pirates. Against, fighting, illegal arms trade in the area. Against human traffickers, because we are affected by it. Against illegal sale of chemical weapons, working in solidarity with other peace-minded Red Sea regions, maintaining collective security in the area. We can also collaborate with countries like brotherly countries, like across Emirates, like Oman, like Yemen, maintaining peace together, because we used to have a solid naval power, respected for its being well trained, being well organized, and having the right kinds of weapons, which, by the way, for the last 8 years, we are working on it. We have reworked on having a naval force. Our officers are being trained in Western countries, the top ones, and also training all kinds of rank and file officers, petty officers, and the like. We are getting ready to have speedboats, which are necessary for the maintenance of the coastal surveillance, fighting the terrorist forces. Still, the world is affected by, let's not forget, Al-Qaeda chapters run around this part of the world. Just because nowadays it is a bit quiet does not mean it has evaporated. No, not so. Actually, there are two: the Al Qaeda elements, then the Islamic State chapters.
The Islamic
Both are rivals. They have two groups in the Bosaso area, the Puntland, and even Al Shabaab is an offshoot of Al Qaeda.
Did attempts in that region.
Yes, absolutely. And Ethiopia is vulnerable of terrorist attacks. Why do we hear less terrorist attacks? Because we have what? A well-organized intelligence, military, an effective military force, maintaining peace and order in our area, leave alone here, under the United Nations, under the African Union, United Nations, ATMIS, and now, we have AMISOM, ATMIS, and the latest the generation of peacekeeping mission.
Having a stronghold of naval power in this region is very vital for Ethiopia.
Absolutely.
In terms of peace and security.
It's a requirement. Let me explain it. I mean, it's good that you bring it. Let's say you have an economically giant country, prosperous, doing the right stuff, doing the right things, having the right strategy, having the right mega projects. How would you protect your economic interest without the military security factors? You can't. The two go together. Because we'll be vulnerable to be intimidated, we'll be vulnerable to be attacked.
To be punished.
Are we going to ask the Yemenis always to protect us? Or American CENTCOM, American forces to protect us? Or say, please, can you do this for the Emirates? And then I know. Because the entire package is what? A country, when it goes, the business, economic, and politics, they wrap together. Once we grow economically also, you need to protect your economic interest. We'll be exporting billions of dollars worth of goods, agricultural goods. We have become now food efficient, food sovereignty. We'll be exporting more and more coffee, more and more all kinds of items, cereals, and what have you. And now, another example is the fertilizer. Once in 40 months, we cross our fingers, provided everything goes as planned, we are going to have the second largest or the largest in Africa, next to the Nigerian one. The Moroccans, they still have the largest in Africa for the last 20, 30 years. So the three countries together would have a footprint and impact on fertilizer. So it's expected in a few years we are going to quench the thirst, the demand of our farmers, millions of farmers. Then we are going to export the fertilizer to the neighboring countries by land and also to other countries by sea. So if we want to grow in such a way and export our products, you have to protect your interest, national interest as well, by doing what? You give it cover by your military presence. In doing so, we protect our interest, and don't forget, we also protect the interest of vulnerable smaller states.
Ethiopia is reclaiming its own positions, not having an attempt of invading a certain nation, right?
Yes.
The port, maybe the Red Sea, was part of Ethiopia. So
yes.
it's something that you request to possess it back.
Yeah.
From international water law and international water policies, whatever, how do you assert your valid notion in this sense?
Well, one needs, any country, as a matter of fact, as a principle, they want to protect their national interest, advance it, promote it, and make it strong, and then work as a team with other countries. And the strategy, the foreign policy and diplomacy strategy of Ethiopia is that, unlike other countries, we are not narrow, as far as I know as a former diplomat. When I say narrow, I mean only my interest. How about the others? We don't care. We care, our brothers in our neighborhood. So our strategy is always what? It's welcoming, and we open up everything. So we also care, and also whatever is demanded and asked, we share our resources, economic, military, and political. So we think in such terms. There are states that might not see eye to eye to this position. Historically, this is a volatile area. We have fought bloody wars with a number of countries. There are examples. Let's say, as a Nile riparian country, there were attempts to control, let's say, the origin of the Nile putting aside so many attempts in the past, way back, recent ones like 130, 40 years ago, 1876, 75, 76, we fought two bloody wars with Egypt as well. You know what I mean? So the point is, this is the contested area. So Ethiopia has good relations with some countries, has also lukewarm relations with others. And also there is, in the Red Sea area, there is an agenda of other neighboring countries that circulates in the area. And that means that Ethiopia has to, draw the line and respond to that. We also have to protect our interests. The best solution is to finish it up peacefully and to work it out based on a mutual interest.
Another discussion point is the role of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam in promoting regional and continental integration through the pipeline of Agenda 2063 of the African Union. Will you explain the vitality of the GERD in implementing and executing Agenda 2063?
Yeah. Sure. Countries are blessed with nature, endowed, and Ethiopia is also blessed with the second to the Democratic Republic of the Congo as the second water tower country of Africa. We are so rich in water. And I think it's our God-given right as well to utilize this. And no country, and all countries should accept that as sovereign country. Ethiopia is a sovereign country. First, GERD was a project that was earmarked by former Ethiopian governments, like Emperor Haile Selassie. Lack of money and lack of peace in the area. And then the military government of the Ethiopian military, they couldn't pull it. And then it was started by the previous government of Prime Minister Meles. Started it, but finished now under His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. That's a big achievement for Ethiopia. Mind you, close to 6,000, megawatts, So that itself is the largest dam in Africa. When we build it, it's not to hurt other countries, but to do what? To use our sovereign right, like what Turkey is doing also. And the water, Euphrates Tigris, it flows downwards to Syria, Iraq, and what have you. Ethiopia has no intention of stopping the war. And by the way, physically and by the law of nature, you cannot stop flow of water. It's a highland nation. We cannot stop the flow. We use it to generate electricity, then it goes down. We regulate the water, and even it's a big advantage for downstream countries like the Sudan and Egypt to regulate the flow of the water. When there is a drought period, then more water can be released. So it's like their own reservoir, like what they have in Lake Nasser, for example. Ethiopia did not complain. Lake Nasser is so huge that Egypt has a whole lot of reservoir for the years and years to come. Even if something happens, it wouldn't come. So anyhow, Ethiopia had requested and had shared our intentions to build a dam, the data and information, etc. So it's up to the receiving countries also, in good faith also, to understand Ethiopia's position and to respect Ethiopia's decision. So for me, GERD is not a burden, it's a blessing. For whom? For all of us as brothers in the neighborhood. Electricity is generated.
Including Sudan.
Ethiopia consumes electricity, and we sell already electricity to the Sudan, to Djibouti, to Kenya. The Sudan case, because of the civil war, I think it has gone down. But Kenya and Djibouti are utilizing, are using for their industries, for household, for ministries, what have you, schools, universities, hospitals. Ethiopia's electricity, that's great. And also Kenya. Even the last month in the inauguration, His Excellency William Ruto, the President of Kenya, had declared to the whole world that we are going to increase our consumption of Ethiopian electricity. That's fine for Kenya, fine for Ethiopia. Tanzania, we have signed an agreement. We can even sell electricity to Egypt and to the Sudan, increase it in the future. So the blessing is for all. We can share it. It's not a project to harm the well-being, the well-being and put into danger our brothers in the Sudan. And when we talk about Nile, let's not forget, it's this resource, the blue and the white Nile, Abai we call it, and the white Nile, is shared by 10 countries. So this a comprehensive framework peace agreement of utilizing Nile resources should be done in a very civilized, in a very systematic way based on international law. And hence we have now, South Sudan, I think, signed as a sixth country in October 2024. What we have now is the Nile River Basin Commission has officially been established, and all issues can also be addressed to this commission, with, I think, headquarters in Kampala, in Uganda. So I think if there is a will, there is a way. Goodwill is the way. Talking to each other is good. Sulking and saying we don't want to talk to you, but always, shooting, let's say, disinformation as well as, negative things, negative vibes across Ethiopia will not bring a solution. I think as an academic, what I see is that the Ethiopian government has always opened its door towards dialogue, always being ready for our Sudanese brothers and Egyptian brothers to solve problems together, and also to understand our position. And Ethiopia, by the way, is also concerned of the well-being of Sudan and Egypt. I think if we really elevate ourselves in a higher level and as brothers get together, I think these little things, these problems are, I think, little things that can be solved.
Well, Professor Brooke Kailu, Professor of Political Science, researcher, advisor on foreign policy, former diplomat, media consultant. Thank you for your precious time and good analysis.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well done.
And my regards to your audience. Appreciate it.
Okay, good. Dear viewers, this brings you the end of our edition for today. See you next time with another edition. Bye-bye. Have a good one.